Right.
So it's like they're taking a bunch of mushrooms and then realizing that like, oh, I can make a better Palantir. Or, you know, it's like,
I could sell more data.
Yeah, I could sell more data. It's like all those festivals have now been invaded by like these tech guys who just go there and they're like, dude, the word, like, they're like, I just got to really like get into myself. And then they're like designing like stuff that like the CIA is using. So it's kind of wild to me the way that we appropriate anything. We just take any spiritual experience we want and make it serve us.
Yeah. That's a fact. That seems to be a human characteristic.
Yeah. Like there's ayahuasca retreats are huge.
They are, but they're
good.
There's real good in them, but there's
good.
also like a certain type of person who gravitates towards those things to
Yes.
sort of spiritualize their existence, and just by virtue of connecting yourself to the experience and having a few of those experiences, you have like a credit score, like a spiritual credit score.
Interesting.
It's a very high spiritual credit score.
Well, that's interesting.
You know, and then you can be this guy who wears wooden beads.
Nobody says they're into the dark arts. What I would like is somebody who goes, I got into all that stuff, but I'm a witch. I'm like a warlock. Like I'm into the dark side of it. Like I'm into like, I'm the other side. I'm Voldemort.
Those
no one
are the
does
guys
that.
who do the late night shift at Walmart.
Right. Those are the guys at Chipotle chopping chicken.
Black fingernails.
Yeah. It's weird to me. I always try to get into it, but it just sounds like junk. That's the problem, right? When you hear people talk about this, it sounds like junk. Because usually it's the most selfish person in the world and we'll tell you about an ayahuasca retreat. It's never like a good person.
Amazing things get co-opted all the time by people's personalities.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm sure.
Like people will be like, my shaman told me I shouldn't worry about being on the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
And you're like, is that what you're using the shaman for?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a thing that connects you to some form of spirituality that's non-denominational. So it's like just like being a Christian. It has the exact same feeling as being in any other religious group. And it's not just to disparage any religious group. I think there's a slot in your brain where the rules fit in. And I think that slot could be Islam, that slot could be Mormonism, but there's a slot in your brain where and we took that slot out. We took that piece out. We're like, hey, I've been reading this and I never heard of anybody coming back to life after fucking 3 days. Maybe this is horseshit. Maybe he didn't make the fucking whole earth in 6 days. Maybe this thing's really old.
That's why I always like Jerry Seinfeld, because he goes, I like things. Like he does this speech he did at the Clio, these advertising awards. He got one of them, and he does this whole thing. It's so brilliant. And he goes, I like advertising because I like lying. And he talks about, he goes, if things don't make you happy, you don't have the right things. And you hear it, it's so funny, right? And people would be like, it's so disgusting. And of course, it's you know, at the end of the day, people make you happy, love makes you happy, communities, family, all that makes you happy. But when he talks about things making you happy, it's so funny and so him, and the way he sells it. The way Jerry Seinfeld sells, like, he goes, there's nothing better than a pair of Levi's, or you know? Or he goes, a Volkswagen Beetle or a Bic pen. He's like, if things don't make you happy, you don't have the right things. It's so funny, and I feel like he does think a little bit like that. Yeah. Because that is a group of person, too, where they're almost spiritually connected to inanimate objects. Yeah. You know? Like, and he said this is all going to be in my new book, Soulful Materialism. But it's just funny to me because it's like there are people you meet that when you talk to them, you go, oh, yeah, like, this does mean a lot to you.
That's a very funny premise, though.